Wednesday morning to you. This is the February 19th edition of the forecast discussion. We're going to start with today's potential winter storm. For the western part of the state, upstate of South Carolina, looks like a bust. I'm sorry, BJ. I really am. This low here is a little bit too far south. We would like it up here towards the Big Bend area, but this is going to be really, really far south. And if we take a look at the next 6 hours, notice the precipitation field across northern, to the north across western North Carolina. As we go through the next 4 to 6 hours, it's not going to fill in like some of the models yesterday had. But right now, let's take a radar tour. This is North Florida. Some pretty hefty rain across the Jacksonville up towards Brunswick and way across Georgia. If we move a little bit towards the north, towards Charleston, this extends to Savannah. If we go a little bit further north, like in Columbia, we have some showers beginning to break out across the north of Florence, and some snow is being reported across the mountains of North Carolina, and perhaps some in-ping reports just north of Hickory, in between Hickory and Lenore, of some snowfall with this area. But this is expected to shift eastward. Let's check out Raleigh. We got some precipitation beginning to break out from Fayetteville to New Bern and points northward. Most of this returns in over Virginia. There are some in-ping reports of some snow, mainly around the Richmond area, but the majority of this in between Danville and Richmond is probably not reaching the ground because it's really, really dry across the area. So taking a look at the HER model, this is the 11Z run, and not much has changed. As we get into the afternoon, the majority of the precipitation, or the heaviest precipitation, stays south of I-40 across the western parts of North Carolina and into the eastern parts of North Carolina. By this evening around 4 p.m., some pretty hefty precipitation across eastern North Carolina from, well, essentially all the way down through probably north of Charleston, northeastward towards Wilmington, New Bern, and Rocky Mount and Elizabeth City is getting in on some of this heavier precipitation. And really across the Charlotte metro region, like it's not filling in. That surface low pressure is just too far to the south, and we do not have the dynamics that are usually in play across this area. Those winds just above the surface of the earth are just really, really weak. So if we look at the snowfall totals from the HER model, beginning this morning, we got some snow across the Tennessee river valleys into the Ohio river valleys. This is going to slide to the eastward, and then some of this snow across, some of that precipitation across the eastern part of North Carolina is going to be snow. We're looking anywhere from 4 to 6 inches across some of this area. And notice the snow shadow across the foothills in western Piedmont of North Carolina. Lucky to get a dusting in these areas as it were now, as it looks now. And the HER model is not the only one. If we look at the GFS also paints a very similar picture. It's just not coming together like it would across the western part of North Carolina and upstate of South Carolina, like traditionally it would. All of the dynamics are going to come together to the east of 77, perhaps across the I-95 corridor in Virginia, North and South Carolina. That's where the heaviest precipitation will probably be all snow. This solid purple line is traditionally or about the rain snow line North of that, all snow is considered, and just to the south of it, maybe some icing is probable. But just like we did the short yesterday, we mentioned that some snow showers might break out across the western parts of North Carolina and slide east-southeast through the day Thursday. That still looks like a possibility, but hardly any accumulation is expected from that. But yeah, so let's take a look at the long range forecast. So here's the GEFS. Beginning with today's system, there it is wrapping up across the mid-Atlantic region. And as we push this forward through Friday, this is the GEFS, so this is the mean 500 millibar flow. Not too much in the way until early next week, where a mean ridge will start to build out west and a mean trough will start to build across the eastern seaboard. And the location here is important. Right now, as it's depicted here, the trough is mainly centered off the coast of the Carolinas, and the ridge being built up in the Intermountain West, which means that synoptically, on average, sinking motion will be induced across the Ohio River Valley, Tennessee River Valley, in the Carolinas, until that moves off, and then a mean trough approaches the southeastern United States late into the week next week. Now, this has some implication across the precipitation. Precipitation goes. Notice the dry over the next 7 days from November 19th through the 26th. On average, this is because that trough is centered off the coast, so there's sinking motion across this area, and if there's sinking motion, there's no precipitation. This continues into March, actually. Maybe it modifies a little bit over the Ohio River valleys and into the lower or southern Mississippi Valley into the Mid-South, but really dry across the most southern sections of the southeastern United States. Temperature-wise, we're looking at some very, very cold air mass across the eastern half of the United States in the next 5 days. This modifies quite a bit as it slides to the south and east. Pretty much mainly Florida is cooler than average between the 24th of February and the 1st of March, while the vast majority of the United States is above average during this time period. This also kind of goes back into some cooler than average temperatures across the Great Lakes, and Florida still is pretty cool. But yeah, so the modification of these air masses as we get into March look to put a damper on precipitation chances, at least across the southeastern United States. It's going to be drier than average. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be no precipitation. So here's a series of 10-day accumulation of precipitation from different models. This is the Canadian model. This is now through the 28th of February. Notice the Gulf Coast is getting hammered with precipitation. Here's the GFS. There's some pretty stark differences, especially across some of the deep south and into the foothills, Piedmont of North Carolina, into Virginia between these two models. But yeah, the overall thing that you could take away from these images or these model outputs is that the Gulf Coast, and really the Gulf Coast and the southeastern coast, look to have some of the heaviest precipitation totals between now and the end of the month. Just about do it for this video. You guys stay safe, especially out there in the eastern part of the state where some icing could occur. But generally across the Charlotte metro area, I'm expecting if you're lucky to see some snow today. Sorry, BJ, again. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. You guys have a good day. Hope you be safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.